Hello, and welcome to It's Already In You podcast. We are your hosts, Liz
and Janine, nutrition and movement experts, mothers and business owners, obsessed with helping you quiet the noise of diet culture.
Seeing through the false advertising and promises of our food and fitness industries, helping you discover that everything you need to upgrade your health and well-being is already in you. Hey guys, we are here today, Janine and Liz, with a special guest,
Yes.
Nicole Pichette. Yes, I just said it perfectly and then I didn't. Nicole is the owner, founder of Live Well Collaborative. She's a nurse practitioner. She is a yoga teacher, a reiki healer, a mom, and I have been following Nicole. We have a lot of shared relationships and have just from kind of seeing what you put out in the World Wide Web and your experiences, I have been attracted and I've learned some things about alternative approaches to wellness and to health. Nicole specializes in integrative and lifestyle medicine, and she has some really cool things that she's working on that I think would benefit so many of us, especially women, that we want to learn more about today and hear from her about more details about what's going on with those things. So as we always start these episodes with our guests, we want to learn a little bit about why you got into the field that you're in and why helping people or medicine kind of was something important to you.
We might have to make this like a 3-part series. Because we're going to be here all day.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here. So I've been practicing primary care for just about 12 years. And I didn't start my career in medicine. I started elsewhere, but I always knew that it was in me. And when I went back to nurse practitioner school, I had already had my certification in yoga, and I wanted to blend the two. Mm-hmm. That was my big vision. I had no idea at the time if it was going to happen or how it was going to happen. And I never thought I was going to be in primary care or traditional medicine this long, but here we are. And over the years, I've been seeing people in a couple of different buckets. One, they want the quick fix and Band-Aids. 2, they have these chronic symptoms that go around and around and around. They come and see us. We run all these tests we're not sure what to do with. They go out to specialists. They don't know what to do with it. And then they come back and they're saying, everything's normal, but I don't feel right, or things aren't normal and they don't know what to do with me. What do I do? And so there's that bucket of folks. And lately, more and more, I'm seeing folks who they want to get ahead of their health before their health gets ahead of them. And that's really...
We like to hear that.
Why I founded Live Well Collaborative. My whole outlook from the get-go has been lifestyle medicine. I like to reduce medications as much as possible. Obviously, there's a very real time and place for them. Mm-hmm. But if we can, either help prevent things or help reduce comorbidities with lifestyle modifications, let's start there. And when the patient is open to it, it's fantastic. And they are often successful when they are motivated and when they're doing the work.
Yes.
That's it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So tell me a little bit more about the yoga, because I feel like that, like you said, is like the roots of kind of where you started. When did you get into that and why? And
I started yoga when I moved to Massachusetts in 1999. So it's been quite a while. And at the time, in hindsight, I never had an official eating disorder or issue there, but I probably was under the orthorexia category, over-exerciser. And I went into this yoga class having no idea what was going to happen. And I came out of it. I was sweating. I was so sore. I worked muscles that I never had before. And I was like, oh my God, give me this every day. So true to form, I went gung-ho. And then, as one does when they get really involved in the yoga, they discover the other amazing benefits. It was catharsis. I was able to actually clear my head. The anxiety went away. I really got into meditation. At the time, there were very, very, very few certification programs. So I drove from Boston out to Princeton, Mass. It was a 10-month program, and I got certified in 2003.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, that definitely has changed, like
absolutely.
in all forms of like fitness and stuff, the programs.
Not always for the better, though, unfortunately. There's a lot of like short short-ish yoga-ish certification. So
I mean, I feel like the asana of my program was like, oh yeah, we're just going to do some poses over there. They really dove into the 8 limbs, and we did so much study on the philosophy and the history of it.
That's awesome. And so when did you begin Live Well Collaborative?
Just about a year ago.
Okay.
About a year and a half ago, I had it in my brain. Actually, no, I'm going to reverse. I started thinking about it during COVID. It just took a while, just because COVID was just crazy with, a job and kids and everything else. And then something clicked about 2 years ago, and I said, I need to get this going. I didn't know how or where to start. And then I just thought, I'm just going to do it. So I started slowly about a year and a half ago. I officially started seeing clients last June.
Okay.
Yeah. So
And is it mainly virtual?
It's mainly virtual. I can see clients in person. I'm part of, can I say it?
Yeah.
I'm part of Under the Umbrella of Wellness in Motion.
Okay.
And if you know them, they have, I think, about 10 locations in and around the city. So right now I have space in their downtown crossing office and up in their Linfield space.
Okay.
But I can also see folks virtually from my house over a secure Doxy link.
Perfect. And what type of, this is kind of like a broad question, but what type of people are being attracted to that? Like the people who want to get in front of their health a little bit, or lifestyle is a big deal for them, or not?
Yeah. So because right now, the marketing and people getting to know me is through Wellness in Motion. That's a lot of their clients. So people going in for, chiropractic, physical therapy, sports massage therapy, those types of folks. So they are generally motivated, active adults, and they want to improve their health with lifestyle medicine. So I would say my clients thus far have been around 30 to 65 years old.
Okay.
And both genders.
So backing up a little bit, and I understand the yoga piece, but what fired you up about lifestyle medicine being in traditional medicine?
Yes. So as you will find in those of us who have worked in traditional medicine for quite a while who moved to this aspect, it was my own health. My 20s and early 30s riddled with chronic symptoms that I just kept getting passed around. I had IBS. I had anxiety that I didn't realize was anxiety. I had really bad migraines, and the biggest thing was I had a debilitating...
You're naming a lot of symptoms, right? I'm like, check.
And the biggest thing for me was, at the time, I had a really debilitating lower back injury that would not get better no matter what I did, and it was because of everything else going on. And so I was sick of the medications, I was sick of the injections, and I said, there has to be a better way. And I woke up and I said, I don't think I'm fueling myself all that well. And so I started eating better. At the time, I was irresponsibly drinking, and it took me a long time to realize that I needed to get rid of that. So, that one took a little bit, but it was really the dietary changes and how I was moving my body changed. I used to be an avid runner. I stopped solely running. I was doing more yoga. I started strength training. I started swimming. So I changed things. And then as the years went on, I started to feel better and better, but I wasn't quite there. So I knew I was on the right path, and I just had to keep going and figuring out what else do I need to do to really get on the other side of this.
Yeah. So it
took a while.
You experienced it before even,
Absolutely.
which is amazing.
Yeah. What do you see in your day-to-day practice, whoever you may be working with, as like common things that people are struggling with, in terms of, let's start maybe with symptoms and then the lifestyle practices that maybe are missing in some of those
I would
symptoms.
say top 2, fatigue, or low energy, and anxiety, hands down.
Yeah.
And with the fatigue comes along some sleep disruption, which is, again, also related to the anxiety.
Sure.
So those are by far the biggest things. And it really has to do with your day-to-day routines.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing with clients, I don't see anybody else kind of getting into. I get a detailed history, of their medical stuff, of their challenges, and of their goals. Where are you now, and where do you want to be? And then we drill in. What are you doing? What's your morning look like? What does your evening look like? Are you getting up and moving throughout the day? How are you fueling yourself? Does your weekday schedule match with your weekend, or are they dramatically different? Are you a weekend warrior and ignoring everything on the weekday, or flip that, doing all the right things in quotes during the week, and then the weekend, no holds barred. So we dive into that, and we work together. I'm never prescriptive. I meet people where they're at because I want them to make these changes that are sustainable and that are going to work for them. Similar to how I experienced. We start with one thing, we build on that, and we continue to build on that.
Yeah. And so their lifestyle habits that you're often seeing people when you ask them these questions, is it often linked back to nutrition and movement and those type of areas that need some additional support? I think stress is a huge part of it, just like being bombarded from all areas. Obviously, we talk a lot about nutrition and fitness on the podcast, but it's always interesting to me when you can see how it's just not the way your body looks or even the way your body feels, but it's like so much past that it can really make you feel unwell if you're not nourishing yourself.
Yeah, I would say honestly, for the folks I've seen thus far, and because I'm just getting started, there haven't been that big of a sample size, but for the folks I've seen just far, half, yes. The other half, it is all of their stress management.
Yeah.
And how they are just approaching their mornings and evenings.
Yeah.
It's humongous. And so the diet and nutrition, the nutrition and the exercise is there for sure. But because these people, they're already halfway there.
Sure.
They're mostly there. It's this other stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have a lot of like-minded people that are coming right now. So with that being said, I know that I have a lot of clients that go to their traditional medicine doctor and they're really frustrated with the answers that they get. So we talked about this before we started recording a little bit. The amount of time that they have allotted to see their patients is partly what's causing this problem. But I have clients that will go in with symptoms, whether they're having headaches or their sleep problems or whatever it is. And either they're being written a prescription really quickly or they're disregarded or, something that they're being told is just not sitting well. So a lot of clients are like, where can I go? Like, who can I see? So it's it's wonderful that you're doing this. And I feel like, I think that they'd want to hear, so they come to you and what exactly does that look like? And are you seeing people for chronic illness and autoimmune and all of the things that are plaguing us today?
Yeah, so I'm going to think about how I want to reframe it because that was a big question. So let's back up. What does it look like to work with me? So first they get an intake form. It's pretty detailed. And I need a few days to review that in advance. So that's a few days before I see them. And then we have a full hour together. And I've already come up with an idea of things that I can suggest. But I also ask them, what have you tried in the past to help with your symptoms? And what's reasonable? What kind of time are we looking at? What kind of resources do we have? And we go from there. And then at the end, and it's a fluid discussion, and at the end I do offer a summary, a bulleted summary. And right now, the visits that I've had, it's part of the wellness tune-up offering that I have. It's intended to be an annual or a twice yearly visit where people, they work on their stuff for a handful of months, and if they want to check back in 6 months, that's great. Or they say, okay, I'm going to try this, and then maybe next year it's going to be a different set of challenges and goals that we work with. I have 3 programs that I'm launching soon, geared more towards what a lot of people are looking at right now. The weight management and the nutrition is one, and then the women's health and hormones is the other. I absolutely can see folks who've got these chronic conditions. And this is all adjunct to the regular care too. And so, it's not like I'd be taking over for anything. It's adjunct and helping them sift through maybe what isn't being covered or what isn't being asked and trying to figure out, is there something else or what is underlying this that no one else is asking about?
Yeah.
Right. And is this all individual, or do you do, like you said, you have programs starting? Is it group programs? Are you going to plan to do that?
So
eventually?
Right now it is individual. It is individual. When I said group, I probably misspoke. It's going to be like a multi-month program.
Okay.
I will have initially 3 months to start, and then people can roll that into a 6-month or a 12-month program.
And any future plans of doing group type things?
I would love to. I've held group sessions in the past, virtual. One was on stress and anxiety management, and one was just on kind of people who are living with, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, elevated sugars, and just kind of helping educate them. So that would be great. That's in my future vision as well. I don't know when, maybe a few years out.
Put it on the timeline.
Yeah,
exactly.
So for the people who are coming to you, and I'm interested in this, who are stressed or their stress management needs some support, or, they're anxious or whatever it may be, more the way that they're kind of like feeling day in and day out as they manage their life. What are some suggestions that you have seen as lifestyle changes that have been impactful?
Setting a pretty strict sleep schedule. So going to bed at the same time every day, waking up at the same time every day within, 30 to 60 minutes. That's weekday and weekend, no matter what day it is. A lot of it, honestly, is their phones.
Yeah.
It's a huge portion. Do not pick up your phone the first thing you do when you wake up.
Yeah.
Get the phone out of the bedroom is huge. Do not log on to social media or news in the morning. You want to start the day with a clear headspace and with a positive intention. I talk
Can you
about
say
this
that louder for the people in the back?
Or me right here.
Or me right here. How about our teenagers?
I know.
I mean, they get a
don't have
lot
any yet, but
longer
they're
of
getting
that.
there.
Yeah. It's so, I go in my daughter's room and take the phone from next to her bed and put it across the room on the desk.
And honestly, that alone makes a significant difference. That added 4 feet of an effort is a massive difference for folks, and they don't realize it until they put it into practice. A big thing I talk about is gratitude practice. It seems, cliched, and I thought the same, and it looks different for everybody. So I talk about that, starting your day with that. And the big thing is ending the day too. What are you doing at the end of the day to wind down? Because most of us are living way, way, way up here. Well, you're not going to get great sleep if you're way up here. And cortisol is a huge buzzword right now, which we can talk about it a different day probably. But our stress levels are way up here. Our energy is way up here. Well, we can't get good quality sleep for that rest and restoration that we need if we're ending the day up here. So we need to bring it back down. And so what do we do? And again, that looks different for everybody. Is it a bath? Is it reading? I myself, I can't actually use a device to read because I'm on a device all day. I'm on a computer all day. I need a physical book. Is it a gentle restorative yoga or mobility practice? Is it meditation? Is it tapping? Is it listening to binaural beats? There's so many different ways. Even if it's 10, 15 minutes, it makes a huge difference in how you're getting to sleep and the quality of sleep that you're getting.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I love that. And I have to ask this because I know that I'm hearing all the questions from the listeners that have the lifestyle, and I'm going to use myself as an example. It's 5 a.m, I'm running a business, have the kids, have the husband, they want dinner. I don't get home till 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. I know all the things, right? And I'm still someone that can't implement them all of the time. So what do you do with that client? Because I'm sure that's a majority of people in America today is the go, 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 and knowing the things, but having a really difficult time with, every day I'm like, I should make the dinner when I have a break at 3 and try and eat so that we're not eating at 8 o'clock. But it's so hard to make that happen. So
it is hard, yeah. So my best strategies are, let's look at your calendar, map it out, and physically schedule things in. Whether it's, and I know everybody's so busy with activities and stuff on the weekend, but carving out an hour or 2 hours to do meal prep, meal planning. It's a pain in the butt. Nobody likes to do it, but on Tuesday, when you already have that ready to go, you're like, oh my God, thank you, Sunday me, for doing this. So it's looking at that schedule. And for those of us who are going from 5 to 9, it's scheduling blocks. I have alarms set on my phone every single day telling me what time it's time to go to bed. Do I ignore them? I for sure do. But it's that physical reminder. Okay, my alarm is going off. I need to wrap this up. I should be in bed by now. But let's wrap this up, and maybe I'll snooze in another 10 minutes. It's just those reminders that are cueing me into, these are the things I know are going to help me to feel better and to get me where I want to be. And it's repetition. We have to keep doing it.
Yeah. I find a lot of times with clients that I work with, and we're trying to figure out, well, this is what we want to do. We want to go for a walk every day, but they might be like, well, it's too dark and I'm tired and this and that. And there's also a sense of like, you have to make choices. And so sometimes when your schedule is jammed, like if you wake up in the morning, you're going until night, something in like your day-to-day life needs to be, is that as much of a priority as your health and wellness? So, working over your lunch break or doing whatever versus going outside and getting a walk and just disconnecting for 45 minutes. I feel like a lot of us, especially in work, we're like, we have to do it all. And there's always more to do and have a hard time saying stop. And so, often what I'll hear is these like built-in excuses that they don't really even know that they're making. And it will, walk every day for 20 minutes, just get outside, like feel the fresh air. And it's like, well, it's too dark, it's too cold, it's too late, it's too this, I can't sip. And it's like, so then there comes some personal responsibility like life does get busy. Yeah. Sometimes you might have to change your day-to-day life pattern if you want to feel good, especially if you're like chronically feeling unwell. I know, for myself, and I've talked about it on here, I get, panic attacks and I get in these clusters and they're really consuming, and I need to make changes in my day-to-day life in order to make sure I'm like caring for myself. And so if someone's really super tired, not sleeping, not doing all those things, and it's consuming, or their hormones and perimenopause, it's just consuming, like then that turns into your priority, because then all the other things aren't as much of a priority. I mean, you have kids, you can't quit your job, but like something needs to shift, or it's that cycle you ride.
Absolutely. And just using the example that you just said, going outside for 45 minutes, that's incredibly daunting for people who are starting from zero.
Yes.
So I say, go outside for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't care if you move your body. Yeah. Just get outside.
Yes.
Yeah.
Get the benefit of the fresh air and the sun. Hopefully we'll see it soon. It's today. But just get outside and then force yourself to do that. And then eventually go for a walk around the block one time. And just like, again, start where you're at and build from there, because you can't build habits when you're going from 0 to 60. It's just not going to happen. It's not sustainable. And those excuses are going to keep coming.
Right.
Yeah.
And, what I talk about all the time with folks, especially people who are coming in with chronic issues, it didn't take overnight to get here. It's not taking you overnight to fix this.
Yeah.
This is going to take a while, and it's going to take work, and you have to look at the big picture. And, there's this cliched saying of health is wealth, and it's true.
Yeah.
Your body is sending you signals, you're just not listening. And so when you take these little moments, adding in some mindfulness, you are able to start listening, okay, this doesn't feel quite right. For personally, this week, my body sent me all sorts of signals. I was like, okay, I need to full stop, figure something out to change this, because I'm going to end up in a worse place. And then I'm really going to be able to have to, I'm not going to be able to do anything at that point. So it's a matter of starting to listening to your body's cues, and but in a way, like my body's telling me it's too tired and it's too dark. Well, it's a little bit different. There are certain things that we do need to work around, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And having an accountability buddy is fantastic.
It's huge.
And so if you're able to get that, great. I understand that's really challenging for a lot of people for a variety of different reasons, but having some version of accountability, whether, again, it's the alarms on the phones or having it scheduled.
I think the scheduling piece is huge. Yeah.
Huge.
Because to me, like for me, the meal prep, I love doing it. To me, that's like a stress release. Like, I'll listen to a podcast or I'll just listen to music or whatever. It's the stress of figuring out the when.
Right.
That is so hard, right? Like, I want to meal prep. I think to me, that's fun. Like, I love shopping. I love washing the vegetables.
You can come to my house.
Like, I'll do it for you. I would do it for a living. Like, I love doing it. But it's scheduling it.
It's putting it in.
Yeah. It's like, okay, do I sit on the couch and watch a movie with my family because I didn't see them all week, or do I meal prep because I want to feed them healthy all week? Like, it's that. It's making those priorities. So I think the scheduling piece, and I'm sure for everybody it's like a different.
Absolutely.
You hate meal prepping and you're good at scheduling. It's one thing or the other. So,
and it's also the 80-20. You got to give yourself the compassion and the grace, and knowing that, yes, we have families and we want to be there and be present. Well, can we involve them in that then?
Yeah.
Make that your family time.
Yeah.
They'll grumble and complain and moan about it. Mine do, but it's like, this is our time together. We have to get this done in order for our family to function.
Yeah. That's one of the biggest things. That's a piece of advice I always give people. that's worked well for me, that has actually, not perfectly by any means, because what is parenting? Not perfect. But that
Imperfectly
my
perfect.
kids and I have always done so much together. Like I've always played with them. Like yesterday, my son was on his bike and I went for a walk, and like we always are doing things that like I'm like, I know I need fresh air and I need to exercise. He's still in elementary school, he can't stay home alone, so we're gonna go and put your rollerblades on or go for a bike, and just to kind of think like, how can we incorporate those two things? And then we have like great conversations. Same thing with like cooking and stuff. Like I really made an effort to, especially my younger son who is way more of a selective eater, get involved in the cooking and learn and talk and touch, even if he wasn't going to eat it. But it just, one, was awesome like for our relationship, because it was time together that I was feeling guilty that maybe I couldn't give because I was exercising or cooking or doing whatever other responsibility I felt was necessary. And then also I think it's even better because you're inviting your family in to learn, you know, how important these things are.
Absolutely.
Versus just doing it, being the mom in the kitchen, doing it their way, or I'm just going to leave. Like, how can we do this together? I think it's like a powerful thing.
Yeah. I mean, on the weekends, you know, we give our kids, we call it downtime. It's their TV time. And most times my husband and I were going down in the basement and working out. And sometimes, as kids do, they're like, I want to go see mom. And my husband's always like, leave her alone. I'm like, no, they need to see me doing this. They need to see what it is that I'm doing and why I'm doing this. I talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
They need to see what this looks like.
Yeah. And just the everyday things, like an active, healthy lifestyle. It doesn't have to be just, get outside, teach them young. So another question I had is, what is, and I'm just curious, like when people come to see you, are people in their heads have been taught like pro-medicine, like they want to be prescribed something to feel better, or is it something that people resist? I feel like there's some doctors and some practices that are very much like, here, you don't feel this here, and don't talk much about lifestyle. I think that there's some places mesh the two together. And so what, as the consumer, as the client that's coming in, what are you seeing that they want?
For the most part, they're trying to move away from it.
Okay.
Avoid it, or, you know, do I need to be on so many medications? Well, let's take a look.
Okay.
Because as most of us are aware, you prescribe one thing. Okay. Well, you add a second agent. Well, now there's an interaction. Now we have a side effect that we then need to treat. And so it's, can we mitigate some of this?
Yeah.
Or how can we mitigate some of this? So I'd say it's a mix.
Okay.
But most folks are trying to avoid or reduce meds whenever possible.
That's good. That's good to hear. Sometimes I feel like, you know, it's just like, give me a pill and I don't want to think about lifestyle or think about what else I'm doing. I just want this to go away and then still eat the McDonald's and sit on the couch and
I
do
for
those
sure
things.
have those folks
Yes.
too, but the people coming to see me at Live Well Collaborative,
It's
they're
different.
not, yeah.
Yeah.
I know,
They're looking for something
sadly,
different.
Yeah.
and I hate to say sadly, but sadly, I feel like I said, like-minded people are coming to you. A lot of times it's like people come to you that they're looking for this type of care, right? So how do you reach the people that need your type of care?
Well, that's the tricky part that I'm in right now.
Yes.
Yeah. So, you know, it's been pretty quiet from a marketing standpoint and putting myself out there. Things are changing probably within the next month. I am paired with a well-established dietitian, and we are putting out the the weight management nutrition program and the women's health and hormones program, where we're just going to do a new launch pretty soon. So there will be more information coming. We're hoping to have those programs launched sometime this spring.
So more people will be able to like find you
Yes.
the outside of the box.
Yeah. And I'm also doing an upcoming health and wellness expo.
Okay.
It's the first time hearing about it, but it's up in Danvers on
I've heard about that.
April
They've invited
6th,
us,
I believe. Yeah. So I'm going to be there. I'll have a table there. So hoping
That's awesome.
to get, there's for sure going to be a lot of like-minded folks there.
Yeah.
And just hoping to put out the information. This is what I do, and I'll be able to talk to
Yeah,
clients
and
there.
connect to community.
And community, for sure.
So let's just quickly talk about women, hormones, health. What is it? Because I feel like, one, you hear so much more about it, right? You know, in these last chunk of years, years and years ago, our parents, I don't think that it was common to talk about like menopause or perimenopause. And now I definitely feel like it's a hot topic and it's even trending. And I would scroll on my phone and see like online services where you can get hormone replacement and there's just a lot. And
There's
so much information, synthetic.
There's too much information.
So much.
Which is part of why you're doing what you're doing
Exactly.
is to kind of like streamline and give like the best quality information per person. But what would you say for someone who's at home who is just like, I'm feeling really uncomfortable, I'm in my 40s, I feel like some of these things are telling me my body's going into this stage. What would be their best first step? Go to their gynecologist, reach out to their primary care, get blood tests.
Good question. And I think it depends on who's part of their healthcare team and how comfortable are they with this. First and foremost, we need to rule out any other underlying causes. There are, I'm sure you've seen, 50 symptoms that nobody thinks of that are related to perimenopause and menopause, but lo and behold, here they are. And again, we need to do the work to make sure there's nothing else going on.
Sure.
Once we rule that out, and that can take a lot of time because primary care may be doing limited stuff. Some gynecologists are not familiar, not well-versed, not willing to touch HRT. There are a lot that are. And, the Menopause Society is a great resource for people who have gone through the full training. I'm planning to do that this year, hopefully, so I can just become even more well-versed in it.
Sure.
But so that's to say, it depends on the provider, but that's a great place to start. Labs are typically necessary just to, again, rule out anything else. And then once that's been checked out, then yes, there's the option of HRT. And the options for that, as you just mentioned, Janina, are aplenty. And, talking to somebody well-versed in that, but there's so much lifestyle modifications that can be done to help these symptoms. With diet, exercise, reduction in alcohol, stress reduction is huge. Sleep optimization is massive. So all of these things can be done, and you can try that even if you're starting HRT or as you're waiting to see somebody to see if HRT is appropriate for you. You can implement all of this because most of us have at least one area where we could be making changes.
Sure. Yeah. And it's only going to help. Whether you get on medication or not, it's only going to make probably the medication work more effectively and together.
So I'm going to bring something up because I'm sure I've been through this. I'm sure that this is what most people are getting to their whatever provider, and this is what the response is. So my primary care didn't really know much about HRT. And I'm throwing no one under the bus here because I feel like, the level of education, like you said, is so all over the place. But then I read and heard about, there was one organization that they were very good at lifestyle, not only treating you with HRT, but also talking to you about lifestyle and understanding that played a big role. So I went there, and I didn't have the greatest experience being on HRT. And I was on it for 3 months, and, I hear people, I start with this, and then I add this in, or whatever that may be. So I didn't have the best experience because they didn't start with one and then try another, or whatever the dosages were. We didn't play with it. I'm sure if I kept going, but I got frustrated. Then going to see my OB for just a regular exam, my annual, he was like, I know you didn't really enjoy this. Now, I love my OB, I have to tell you. But I know that you didn't feel like you got any relief from your experience with this, but let's try it again. So there's a prescription at CVS. So I left there thinking, what is it? Like, how are you just saying, okay, so you can just have some estrogen and some progesterone. So then I got frustrated again. So I'm not picking it up, and the funny thing is he said, you can pick it up, or you don't have to pick it up, but it's there, right? Like you said, there should be some labs, there should be some talk of lifestyle. But so say you go to that practice and that's what you're hearing, where are you starting people, or where do you think people should be starting with this? Is there one versus the other?
Do you mean primary care versus OBGYN?
No,
or-
I mean so you find somebody that is well educated in menopause. Shouldn't there be some experts say start with progesterone before you add in the estrogen or vice versa? I don't know.
There's so much controversy about that, and a lot of times, honestly, you can go. I have a couple of great checklists that generally will match which hormone may need to be optimized. Now, I know this isn't a discussion for today, but if you have a uterus, if you're starting estrogen, you need the progesterone for the protection there. So you can't start estrogen without the progesterone if you have a uterus. And so, but there can be certain symptoms that are contributed to one more than the other. I have seen online some practices are starting with testosterone before moving to estrogen and progesterone. I think those are very few and far between because there's so much regulation. Testosterone is a controlled substance, and so it's not a lot, but there are so many different ways to approach it, and it all depends on the provider's expertise, comfort level.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest part is it, and how long. So with someone like myself who I didn't see any changes in 3 months, and then I was like, because I'm somebody who doesn't like medicine. Like if I can avoid it, I'm going to do all the lifestyle things that make me feel better before. And I feel that there's a place for it, like you said, but I want to know I'm not just putting things into my body and not getting a response.
Yeah, I mean, just like someone who's in their 20s and 30s, anytime you're changing hormonal, for birth control, my guidance is always you've got to give it a good 3 months. It can take 3 months to make any difference. So with HRT, I'm sorry you had a bad experience, first of all, but with HRT,
it wasn't
sometimes
it just isn't
a waiting game. And it is, let's play around with the dose. Usually that's with the estrogen piece of it. And the progesterone is typically just the one dose that can be adjusted sometimes. Some people cycle it, some people do it. That's usually during perimenopause, but it's typically done every day at the same dose. But you can play around with the dosing. You can play around with the form. Are you doing the patch? Are you doing the pill? Some people respond differently to other formulations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have a question for you. Do you think you should be on that for a period of time for the rest of your life? What is the
It depends on what the reason is that you're going on it. I'm coming at this maybe from a unique perspective from my own family history. My sister and I are going at it with the idea of not so much symptom management, but cardiovascular, osteoporosis, and dementia prevention. And I know that's very controversial right now. I have a couple of books that I can recommend. But for my sister and I, very top of mind, if this has any impact on avoiding Alzheimer's, we want to do it because it's in our family history. And so I'm approaching it from a little bit of a different perspective. For that, it would be, you'll have to take it out of my grubby hands, out of my coffin when I go.
Yeah.
But for folks who are doing it for symptom management, again, some people will only be on it for a period of time, but I feel like more and more the research is saying that be on it forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
it's such a huge spectrum and such a lot of information. And again, I haven't gone through that more in-depth training yet with the Menopause Society. I'm hoping to glean all of that because there's a lot of gray zone right there.
Right. It's hard because the reason why it got a bad name was because they were giving it at the wrong time, basically, right?
They were giving
so
it too
then
late.
giving it too late. So then when I hear you should be on it for a long period of time, then I'm thinking, well, wouldn't the risk increase as we get older as women?
But they've debunked the risks, right?
Right, but they started it too late. So you're saying that the buffer of starting it early is now giving so much of a benefit that we don't have to worry about the risk later on?
Well, yes, and there were other confounding factors that increased the risks starting it later.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm just getting into that portion of my life. I feel like I have been reading more and more about it. I actually have an appointment in May to talk about hormone therapy because I was listening to someone talk the other day that I feel like is a respected person in that field. And she said that you want to begin when your symptoms begin. You don't want to wait until it's like over like the top and it's like barely manageable. And so it's just an interesting stage of life. Like I still feel so young. I feel like I would never want to get pregnant, but I'm like, I feel like I could get pregnant too. And like, it's like two different things that your body, and it's just an interesting process. And it always amazes me that it's so easy for me to talk about it now. I talk about it with clients every day, most women I work with, and that it is still relatively so new. Which is why I feel like we just have so many questions, like for people, and for people like you who have some experience with it from like the medical side, like trying to like I want the truth. What's the truth?
And women's health, I think, has always been something that needed more attention, obviously.
Well, I mean, studies weren't done for so long, and now it's getting so much attention, which is great.
It is great because there are, I mean, I think I heard the other day, like even palpitations, and it's funny because I feel like, every once in a while I feel like that I may be having it, and I'm like, oh. And then I realize that could be a symptom of perimenopause as well.
One of the
like
most common ones.
Right? It's like things that you would never...
Itchy ears. Like one of my clients, she was literally like, my ears itch every day. She was like freaking out. And I remember talking to her, and then she eventually went to see someone and got in her, and she was like, who would have thought that itchy ears is...
Frozen shoulder is one of the biggest ones.
Yeah. I have bridge anxiety. And I was told when your progesterone levels change that your anxiety increases. And if you were like just a little bit anxious of going over a bridge, now it's like
just compounded.
Full on. Yeah. Which is, I mean,
it's wild.
And it's all real. Like you as a professional, you're like, this is real. Like people, like women aren't crazy. Like when people are coming to places.
Yes, we are not crazy.
Yeah, these are real
Stop
feelings.
calling women crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So a couple other questions I have for you, just because I like spy on your Instagram and I want you to share some of your practices. It seems like you were pretty committed to your lifestyle practices, and I'm sure they've evolved over time. Tell me about the shake thing that you do and the your morning routine. Like,
that's like my dedicated special me time, and I love my children dearly, but if they wake up before I expect them to, it's like my brain it's like an electrical socket because this is my special time.
Yes.
But the red light therapy, I'm still learning a lot about it. It's very new in my house. I grabbed it on a Black Friday sale, and I use it in the morning for two things. Number one, in the darker months, it's supposed to help our circadian rhythm to mimic the natural light coming in. So it helps our bodies produce the melatonin, make us more awake and energized in the morning. So I always have it on in the background while I'm doing my morning movement practice. Other ways to use it is to help reduce pain. And so there are different settings on my red light panel. One is infrared and red. I use that for pain. They say maximum you should do 20 minutes at a time. One is just infrared, and then one is just the red light. So you can have that. I do that in the mornings. I was going to try to do it in the evenings, but it feels a little funky in the evenings. Again, in the evenings, it can help, especially like in the summertime coming up, it can help our body say, okay, it's time to settle down. I have a very early bedtime, so sometimes I'm going to bed before the sun is down.
Yeah.
And so that can help in the summer. So that's the red light, and I love it. Absolutely love it. I have a red light wrap that I'll sometimes put around. I hurt my knee recently. I didn't get the benefit that I was hoping from it. But I feel like sitting in front of the panel was way better.
Did you notice skin changes? Like
I haven't.
Yeah, I know. I've heard a few. My friend Lauren Heffez, she does, and she's like, I haven't
I've
noticed
got the mask.
any. Yeah.
My husband got me one of the masks for my birthday last summer. I use it 3-4 times a week. I don't think I've noticed anything.
Yeah.
Like, well, it's not going to hurt anything.
Sometimes I think it's mind. Like we have the infrared sauna now, and I go in and I choose anti-aging, and I come out and I'm like, wow,
I do actually think you've been glowing the last weeks.
that was my reset. No coffee in the morning.
So I have the infrared sauna blanket, and I only got that because 2 summers ago, I started going to a local spot that had the infrared sauna, and I did this like early in membership. It was a great deal. I was in there, I don't know how I managed it, 3 times a week, and I felt like $1 million.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I can't buy this for my house. I don't want to keep going to this place. And so we got the blanket, and I do love that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Do you know Costco's selling infrared saunas?
Oh,
now?
I didn't know that.
For your house.
You should have told me that.
And my niece and nephew just bought it, and they are loving it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's such good.
Not that I want anybody to buy it, because I want them to come
Come to Fit Life.
into Fit Life and use the infrared sauna.
What else? Oh, the vibration plate.
Yes.
Best purchase that I've bought in the last handful of months. So I did a lot of research on it, and there's like so many other things, a spectrum of them, from the affordable to the very expensive. There are a lot of people who are doing workouts on it. I myself will never work out on it. I don't see that in my future.
Yes.
So I went with one of the more budget options. I got one for like $100.
Yeah.
And I get on it most days of the week for 10 minutes, and it's just to shake out the lymph.
Yeah.
And it feels so good. I use this after a workout. Full disclosure, I'm doing this instead of like my post-workout stretching because I feel like I get a bigger benefit out of it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or I'll use it. My Mondays are crazy. I'm up at 4:30. I don't get home until 7. I barely move that day.
Yeah.
And so I do it at night just to get my body a little bit of movement. And it's just incredible. I absolutely love it. I've got my kids on it.
Oh,
supervision,
awesome.
of course.
Yeah.
But
So many
it's
people
great for
have
the whole
asked me
family.
about that.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And
I
again,
keep
you can
thinking
get it
about
really affordable.
1980 when you were.
So
Nobody can see me shaking like this.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. Some people claim that it can help with weight. Who knows?
Yeah.
Again, I don't care about that. I'm just doing it for my lymph drainage.
Yeah. And how has your workout? So you said, as you were young, you worked out a lot, and then you found like yoga, and now as a woman in your 40s, how do you? What is your working out kind of regimen for your body? How?
Yeah,
I'm just curious because you're so like thoughtful in the way that you're approaching your well-being.
Yeah. So going back to your discussion point earlier, I sit down twice a week and I schedule exactly which workouts I'm doing. About a year and a half ago, I had a really scary medical event happen, which completely rocked my world. And I was out of work and I couldn't do anything except for walk for about 5 months. And so coming off of that, I had to be very thoughtful about what I was doing. And my schedule varies quite a bit throughout the week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it's craziness. So those mornings, I still get up in the morning because I've learned that if I don't move my body, I am in pain, I am cranky, and I'm not a nice human being. So I have to move my body. So that looks like either a 20-minute yoga practice. I am very often on Cara Duvall's Range program with her classes.
Yeah.
My favorite is the Origin series. So I'll do that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday mornings. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, those are the days that I consider my more workout days. I try to lift. I lift in my basement. We set up a nice little gym since COVID, and we keep expanding to it. So I'll do that. I try to do it 3 days a week. I try to get in a HIIT workout. Honestly, these days it's like maybe once a month. I'm lucky if I can get on my bike and do something.
Yeah.
And then I try to get in a walk every single day. It depends on my work schedule, but at least 20 to 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And the days that I'm not commuting into the city, I'm so fortunate to live walking distance into the Fells. And so I'm in there 3-4 days a week.
That's awesome.
And
Nice.
I absolutely love it. And
Yeah.
yes, I love the weighted vest too.
Yes.
Love it.
Yes.
Yeah. The weighted vest. That's another thing that I feel like is on trend right now. But it's like sometimes you see these trends and you're like, no, like go away. Like, but sometimes you see them and you're like, yes, that is the one that's like beneficial.
Yes.
Like that
Another
feels
reason why
good.
everything is so confusing, though. Is
Yeah.
it good? Is it bad? It's good. It's not. Yeah. So
So for your programs for Live Well Collaborative, how do people find you? How do they reach out to you? I know you have an Instagram page, which we'll link into.
Yep. So my Instagram page, I have a link tree where you could book a visit with me. You can also connect with me in that way through a message. I have a very basic DIY website, livewellcollaborative.com, and hopefully we'll be expanding on that soon.
Yeah. And with that expansion, or in those places like your link tree and stuff, the programs that you introduce in the coming months or weeks, they'll be there.
So right now, the only program available for booking is a wellness tune-up. But if anybody is interested in starting to work before the programs are officially launched, I can weave that in. I could work it in. I just don't have anything set up in my EHR right now, but I can make that happen. And that you just message me.
Will you take insurance, or is this private pay?
This is private pay.
Okay. And can you prescribe, like, if there is medication needed, like that can be done?
I can.
So basically, anybody, you can get most of the similar things that you would get at a traditional primary care.
One of the things, though, before signing on, clients do attest to the fact that I am not their primary care provider, that they do have somebody else, and that this is adjunct.
Okay, because that's just my practice. That's just your practice standard. Okay, okay. All right. So, Janine, what other questions do you have? I know you have some more brewing over there.
Well, I mean, we could go on and on. I think I would love to have you back on so that we can talk specific, areas, like you said. If we could talk we could talk about the things and the way that you start your mornings. We could do a whole episode on that, but I would love to have you back to speak to the specifics.
Sure, I'd love to.
Because I think everybody would love to hear, your thoughts on a lot of things. But
I do actually have a question.
Yeah.
Your cortisol, like that is also something that I feel like I know what it is, but like that I feel that I see like cortisol programs, 30-day cortisol detox, like just like things, or people like coming to me being like, do you think it's my cortisol? Like they don't even know what it is, but they just hear that word. And obviously it's not a singular thing. It's in, it works in synergy or works with or against other hormones and things in your body. But what would you say to someone who is like, okay, basically cortisol, your stress level's too high. You're in a fight or flight. Your body is in that state. What would you say to someone that would be a helpful first thing for them to like take an honest look at what that might mean to them, like to learn about their own stress? Or, I mean, I know you said bedtime and wake up time and stuff like that, but is there anything that can be like almost self-study? Like,
yeah, for sure. It's such an individual experience. And, I often tell people we need cortisol, we need stress. So these things aren't inherently bad. So first of all, it's a mindset shift. In order to be human, we have to experience those things. However, we have these natural variations in levels. It's up and down, especially, cortisol levels, if we're talking about that. And before you ask, serum blood cortisol levels are really not helpful unless we are concerned about opposite ends of the spectrum, looking for something called Cushing's or something called Addison's. There are salivary cortisol tests that can be helpful because some people, they wake up and their energy is in the gutter.
Yeah.
And so their cortisol level may be low, where we expect cortisol to be really high when we first wake up.
Yeah.
There are other folks on the other end where at night, when we're trying to go to sleep, we expect that level to be low, and they're up, they're wired and tired.
Yeah.
And so that is a way to really dig in. Okay, what is your sleep hygiene looking like? What are you doing in the morning? What are you doing in the evening? I don't need a salivary test to talk about that.
Sure.
We can get it if that's helpful. Because some people need that data for the motivation to make the changes.
Yeah.
Some people I can just talk to about what they're experiencing and how they're experiencing. Where do you feel it in your body? When do you feel it in your body? Is it predictable? Is it all the time? Because I talk a lot about the threat bucket. I'm looking at your smoothie jar. I normally have a mason jar.
Yeah.
We all picture a jar full of water. We all have a threshold of how high that level can be. And it's our threat bucket. It's our stress levels, whether that's chronic illness, taking care of our parents, someone cut me off in traffic, someone got my coffee order wrong. Those are all piling in. And if we're living way up here in the stress, and I'll use quotes, cortisol levels, we're going to get to a point where that jar is overflowing. So any little thing that gets added to it, I trip and twist my ankle on the sidewalk. Well, now all of a sudden, I don't know, I've got a migraine that doesn't go away for 5 days.
Yeah.
It's not the migraine. It's everything that came before that adding to that threat bucket. So we need to work in various ways, and that's so personalized for everybody, to reduce that level, to keep the fire hose, to, turn off the fire hose, get that water back in the bucket so it's not overspilling, and bring it down so that we can handle, because we can't change stress. It's 2025.
Yeah.
The amount of things overwhelming us
yeah.
on a hourly basis is incredible. So how do we manage that? What's in our control? What's out of our control? So I talk about that a lot too, and working through that.
Yeah.
In association with that, everybody talking about cortisol, they're also saying adrenal fatigue, and they're hearing that a lot. So that's a buzz.
And we're probably all experiencing some level of that, just based on what the world is like right now.
Yeah. I know. Isn't it a fun world?
Yeah. How do we reverse?
Yeah. No, but the education is really where it's at, is to understand that as things change, as we evolve, our bodies change, as we age, the world, whatever, that there has to be things in our practices or in our days that move us with what's going on around us, because we can't just be ourselves and not have any relation to what's happening on the news or what's happening in the environment or whatever.
But we can't also be completely overly consumed and buried by
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's that.
We
It's
can
a
shut
hard
it off.
balance.
Yes. Yeah. I know.
Sometimes we have to shut it
Absolutely.
off.
Yeah, I told you, like, I had to, I do my social media things, and
I know,
recently,
she's really good at that.
like, the political stuff, like, regardless of who believes what, it was just so much, and I was just like, I can't just open this up and not be prepared. And that's the thing about social media, is that, like, if you're going to have a conversation with someone, like, you're choosing to, like, take on the information, but, like, on the TVs and social and all that stuff, it's just like you just scroll and you see, like, something that's so disturbing, or, like, it's just your brain doesn't even know how to really process it.
Right.
So I think those things are, like, really important too, is to, like, understand how those kind of 2025 impacts us, and then create, when you're writing your plan in the week about food prep and, sleep time, also to understand that there's boundaries around that.
Social
I mean, I
media
put an hour
limitations.
limit on my phone,
do
and
too.
it pops up, and even if I ignore it for the day, at least I know, oh, I'm close. Like, let me wrap up what you're doing. But even that hour, I'm like, I need that, or you just get, like, sucked into it. So just interesting how it all goes back to our well-being, how we think, how we feel, what we put into our body. And when you were saying, the bit about the cortisol, like, it made me feel like it was kind of like almost like a knot, like a bunch of things come together to create a feeling or a sensation or something in your body. And I feel like often when I talk to people about, like, gut health, it's the same thing. It's not straightforward. It's like, well, this is this, so then it made this like this. And so we have to, like, not necessarily look at your gut health first. We need to look over here, or, like, whatever it might be. You're getting sick all the time. It's really not immunity. It lives, like, so it's interesting. And so having people like you who have that kind of wide scope on wellness and, overall health, that is so, I mean, I think we've said it a million times, like, search for that, yearn for that it is a conversation about what we're doing in our lives, the needs that may be, like, medical or medicine if needed, and to be able to talk to, like, a trusted, educated person. I think to have a place like that, so many people, like, crave.
Oh, yeah.
So many people have
and
asked
knowing
me.
that, like, someone like you that could get somebody to get out of that sympathetic response, and that's all it took to get, like, I know, speaking of gut health, we just tell people to, like, take some deep breaths before you have a meal.
Yeah,
and I've had
chew.
people, like,
Profound
right?
differences.
They're like, I can't even believe, like, how much less I ate, how much better I felt, like, and all it is was 3 breaths before
So
you.
I say it all the time: simple but not easy.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're simple things that I recommend. They're not easy. You are going to hate me sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's not rocket science.
Yeah, it's not rocket science, which really comes back to everything you need to be healthy and strong is already in you. The name of our
already in you.
So
Yes.
you need help, you need support, you need education sometimes, but none of it is super complicated. It's do the little things and they'll take care of you.
And we thank you for doing what you're doing
Yes.
because you are going to make big differences.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me. This was great. I love chatting with you too.
Yes, it's easy, right? It's like you just feel like you can keep talking and not
we
do
could
all the
just-
other things.
Right.
All right, so we're going to put Nicole's information, her Live Well Collaborative, the link to the Instagram page where you can find more information. Definitely reach out to her with questions. If you have questions, if this sounded interesting to you, which I'm sure it did.
We'll definitely have her back.
And we'll definitely have her back. I feel like I have like 5 more things I want to ask her about. So I'm just going to make notes of those. But we are so glad that you were on. Thank you for sharing and being open and doing what you do. If you guys have any questions, reach out to us, comment on the posts that we post with Nicole, and she'll make sure to answer those too. Otherwise, keep taking care of yourselves, and we will see you guys back here real soon.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.